Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down every single chapter of the greatest story ever told. And today we are on chapter 39, For Whom the Bell Tolls.
A fitting title, because this chapter is all about a synchronized takedown that signals the end for the Black Hat Pirates. It's a title that carries a weight of finality, almost like a funeral dirge for Kuro's grand ambitions.
A funeral they totally deserve. This is one of the first truly perfect Straw Hat team-up moments, even when they aren't in the same place. It's the kind of crew dynamic that defines legends. And if you want to follow the growth of this legendary crew with us every single week, you should probably make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to be the last one to the party when the next big moment drops.
And this chapter is full of them. Let's start back at the coastline where Luffy is face to face with a truly unhinged Captain Kuro.
Unhinged is the word. He's not just angry anymore. He's completely lost it. The mask of the calm, calculating mastermind has shattered. He's still just blindly slashing at his own crew, not even caring who he hits. It's chaos. And in the middle of it, Kuro lands a clean shot on Luffy.
It's a significant moment. Throughout this entire arc, Kuro has been built up as this untouchable phantom. We've seen him move faster than the eye can see, and here he connects. He draws first blood on our captain.
And what a hit. It's a deep gash right across Luffy's chest. For any normal person, that's a fight-ending injury. You'd be on the ground, bleeding out, but not Luffy.
Luffy gets wounded, but the important thing is that he doesn't go down. He doesn't even flinch. He just takes the hit, stands there, and looks Kuro dead in the eye.
That's the thing about Luffy. His durability isn't just about being made of rubber. We've seen that before. This is different. This is his spirit. It's a raw, stubborn refusal to be stopped when his friends are on the line. He has a goal, and a little thing like getting sliced open isn't going to get in the way. It's the same look he had when he stood up to Alvida for Kobe. The stakes are higher, the enemy is deadlier, but the resolve is exactly the same.
It's a fascinating contrast in character. Kuro's strength comes from precision, planning, and control. When that control is broken, he devolves into wild, unfocused rage. Luffy's strength comes from pure, simple determination. Wounding him doesn't break his spirit, it just focuses it. Kuro is brittle, like glass. Luffy is resilient, like rubber.
Exactly. And then he does something so simple, so effective, it's brilliant. Kuro is zipping around, a blur of motion, and Luffy just grabs him.
While Kuro is using that silent step technique of his, it's supposed to be impossible. How do you catch something you can't even see? But Luffy doesn't try to see him. He just reaches out and snags him mid-teleport.
It's pure instinct. He's not trying to outthink the genius planner. He's not trying to match his speed. He just feels the chaos, finds the center of it, and grabs on. He grabs his jacket and just slams him into the ground. No fancy moves, no special attacks, just pure instinct and strength. He found the off switch. The answer to how do you fight a guy who moves too fast to see is don't let him move.
It's the perfect counter to Kuro's entire fighting style. Kuro relies on his opponents being disoriented, unable to track him. He expects fear and confusion. He does not expect someone to just treat him like a misbehaving cat and grab him by the scruff of the neck. Kuro completely invalidates Kuro's greatest strength with a single, simple action.
And Kuro just can't process it. He's on the ground, looking up, and you can see the disbelief on his face. This wasn't part of the plan. This variable, Luffy, is breaking all the rules of his carefully constructed world.
Kuro, of course, immediately resorts to psychological tactics. He can't win physically while he's being held, so he tries to win mentally. He mocks Luffy, saying, if he'd just stood still, it would have been an easier death.
And then he twists the knife. He tells Luffy that by stopping him here, his crew is still suffering. While you're wasting time with me, your friends are dying in the forest. He's trying to get in Luffy's head to make him feel responsible for what Jango is doing.
It's a very calculated cruelty. Kuro isn't just a brute, he's intelligent. He attacks weaknesses, and he assumes Luffy's weakness is a hero complex. He thinks Luffy is the type of person who needs to save everyone at once, and by pointing out that he can't, he hopes to create a moment of hesitation, a crack in that simple determination.
But it's the wrong read. It's such a fundamental misunderstanding of who Luffy is. He's not trying to be a hero. He's trying to beat up the guy who threatened his friend. It just makes Luffy madder. Kuro tries to go for another one of his high-speed moves, thinking he can slip away, and this time Luffy doesn't just grab his jacket, he gets him in a full-on bear hug. He just holds him tight, and suddenly Captain Kuro can't move at all.
He's completely neutralized. All that speed, all that planning, that 3-year scheme, the reputation of Kuro of 100 plans, and it's all undone because Luffy is essentially a walking, talking vice grip. The irony is palpable. Kuro's grand plan was to escape the suffocating life of a pirate captain, and now he's being physically suffocated by the freest pirate imaginable.
And then the most amazing thing happens. The Black Cat pirates, the guys Kuro was just slicing to ribbons, the men he betrayed and abused for years, start cheering for Luffy.
It's a complicated moment. On one hand, it's a moment of liberation for them. They see someone finally standing up to their terrifying, abusive captain, someone who can actually stop him. For a moment, Luffy is their hero. He's the strongman who has come to depose the tyrant.
For about 5 seconds, because Luffy's reaction is perfect. He throws his head back, stretching his neck all the way up the cliffside, and yells at them. He tells them to shut up, not to cheer for him, and that after he's done with Kuro, they're next.
It's such a fundamental statement about who he is. He's not a generic hero here to save everyone. He's here for Usopp. He's here to protect Usopp's village. These pirates are part of the problem, and he's not going to forget that just because they're cheering for him now. This is one of the earliest, clearest examples of a core tenet of Luffy's philosophy that we see repeated throughout the entire story. He tells Jinbei much later that he doesn't want to be a hero because heroes have to share their meat. A hero would have to save the Black Cat pirates too. Luffy isn't interested in that.
There are no blurred lines for Luffy. You threaten my friend's home, you are the enemy. Period. He doesn't need or want their approval. That is our captain. He has his own code of justice, and it's beautifully simple. You mess with his friends, you get your butt kicked. End of story. He's not running for office. He's not trying to win hearts and minds. He's just protecting his own. Super!
Meanwhile, Kuro is just stunned. He can't comprehend it. He's just muttering about how his plan can't fail. His entire worldview is built on his plans being perfect. His identity is Kuro of 100 plans. If the plan fails, then who is he? He's just a man in a bear hug.
And Luffy is the one variable he never could have planned for. The beautiful, rubbery chaos monkey thrown into his perfectly wound clock. The plan is dead. Kuro just hasn't accepted it yet.
Let's move from that chaos to the forest, where things are just as tense. Kaya is making a stand.
A huge one. We've only ever known her as this quiet, frail, bedridden girl. But here she sees Jango hurting the Usopp pirates, the kids, and she steps up. She makes him a deal. She'll sign the will if he lets the kids go.
It's the first time we've seen her take active control of her own fate. For 3 years, she has been a passive victim of Kuro's plan, slowly being poisoned. Now, inspired by Usopp's courage, she's weaponizing the very thing that made her a target, her inheritance. She's using the one piece of leverage she has.
Jango is a scumbag, though. There's no honor among these thieves. He agrees, then just chucks the kids against some trees anyway. He has no honor. He's a perfect reflection of his captain. The plan is everything. Promises are meaningless.
Which is when Kaya makes an even bolder move. She grabs Jango's weapon, his hypnotizing ring, and holds it to her own throat.
She threatens to kill herself. It's so intense. The art in this panel is incredible. The look in her eyes is not one of fear, but of pure determination. This is the ultimate Gambit, and it's brilliant. She understands the plan better than Jango does.
Exactly. She knows that if she dies before the will is signed and officially witnessed, the entire inheritance is lost. The whole reason Kuro came back, this elaborate 3-year plan, goes up in smoke. It's checkmate. She's analyzed the situation and found the single point of failure.
She found the real weak point, not Jango's strength, but the fragility of Kuro's perfect plan. Jango absolutely panics. He can't let that happen. He might be cruel, but he's also terrified of Kuro. He knows that if he returns to the coast and tells Kuro he failed because he let the golden goose kill herself, he's dead.
It forces his hand. He has to let her sign the will. And while this is happening, the Usopp pirates are whispering amongst themselves.
I love this little moment so much. Carrot, pepper, and onion. They're bruised, they're beaten, they're just kids. They're pretending to be knocked out, but they're planning. They decide that even though they're losing, they can't run away. Because their captain, Usopp, didn't run.
That's Usopp's influence, his spirit. They've absorbed his particular brand of courage, the kind you show even when you're terrified and outmatched. He told them stories of a brave warrior of the sea, and in this moment, they are choosing to live up to that ideal. They are the first crew to follow Captain Usopp, and they will not abandon their post.
They're true warriors of the sea, those kids. But okay, the will is signed. Jango has the piece of paper, he has what he wants, and his next move is exactly what we expect from a monster like him.
He prepares to kill Kaya. The deal is done, and now she's just a loose end. To him, the contract is fulfilled, and he's free to be a pirate again. It looks like it's over. Kaya's gambit bought her a few moments, but it seems to have only delayed the inevitable.
But it's not, because Zoro and Usopp finally arrive on the scene. The cavalry is here.
And there's no time for a conversation. No grand entrance speech. Zoro takes one look at the situation, Jango looming over Kaya, weapon ready, and he knows he can't close that distance in time with his swords. Jango is too close to her.
This is a real tactical problem. If Zoro dashes in, Jango kills Kaya before he gets there. It's a hostage situation where the bad guy has no reason to keep the hostage alive. So what does he do? He helps the guy who can close the distance. He just picks Usopp up and literally throws him to a better vantage point.
It's such a perfectly Zoro solution. It is direct, efficient, and maybe a little rough on the person being thrown. He assesses the strengths of his crewmate and uses his own power to put that crewmate in the optimal position. He doesn't think, how can I solve this? He thinks, how can we solve this?
The Usopp fastball special. It gets the job done, but they still need a moment. Throwing him gets him in position, but he still needs to draw, aim, and fire. They need a distraction.
And they get one from the most unexpected place. The Usopp pirates. Just as Jango is about to swing his ring, they get up and ram a shovel right between his butt cheeks.
It is the single most disrespectful and effective delaying tactic we have seen yet. It's so absurd, so juvenile, and so absolutely perfect. They saw their opening and they took it. Heroes, absolute heroes. They couldn't win the fight, but they could create the moment that lets their real captain win it for them.
Jango is, of course, enraged and humiliated. He kicks them aside easily, but they did their job. They bought a precious few seconds. That shovel to the backside is just as important to this victory as anything else.
He turns back to Kaya, sneering at Zoro that he's too late to save her. He thinks he's won. He thinks Zoro's only option was a direct assault, which has now failed.
And this is when Zoro delivers one of his first legendary ice-cold lines. He just says, "That wasn't my goal."
Chills every time. It's not about him being the hero. It was never about him rushing in for the final blow. The whole play was for someone else. He's looking at Jango, but he's not talking to him. He's confirming the plan to Usopp. It's a moment of pure unspoken teamwork.
He raises his sword, but not to attack Jango. He cuts down the branches of a tree that are blocking Usopp's view.
He's the setup man. He's clearing the stage for his sniper. This is the first real glimpse of how the Straw Hats fight. They don't just fight individually. They create opportunities for each other's strengths. Zoro knows he's the swordsman, the close-range powerhouse. Usopp is the sniper. Zoro's job here wasn't to kill Jango. It was to give Usopp the shot.
It's a moment of absolute trust. Zoro trusts that if he gives Usopp a clean shot, Usopp won't miss. He just saw this guy moments ago bleeding and broken at the bottom of the slope, but he doesn't doubt him for a second. And Usopp trusts Zoro to create that shot for him, even when it looks like Zoro is just standing there. This isn't just a team-up. It's the birth of a combat philosophy for the crew.
And now Usopp has it, a clear line of sight to Jango. He's up in a tree, hidden.
Jango has no idea he's even there. He pulls back his slingshot. The panels here are just perfect. Usopp's face is all focus. No fear, no doubt. Just the cold precision of a sniper.
And this is where the genius for pacing and structure really shines. We cut back to the coastline.
Luffy is still holding Kuro. Kuro is still monologuing about his perfect plan, completely unaware of the world outside his own ego. He's talking about how no one can stop him, how peace is within his grasp. He is completely disconnected from the reality that is unfolding just up the hill.
Then we cut back to the forest. Usopp fires his slingshot. The projectile flies. It's one of his special ammo types.
And at the exact same moment that Usopp's shot hits Jango in the face,
Luffy, back on the coast, having held Kuro in place this whole time, pulls his stretched-out head all the way back.
And slams it forward into Kuro's skull. The bell. The sound effect rings out across the whole island. Dong!
2 villains, 2 locations, taken down in perfect sync by 2 different Straw Hats. One takedown is loud and brutal, the other is silent and precise, but they happen as one.
it's beautiful. It's storytelling perfection. It's a symphony of butt-kicking. Usopp, the sniper, gets to be the hero who saves Kaya and his village from the shadows. He takes out the immediate threat. And Luffy, the captain, takes down the mastermind on the front lines. It shows that both roles are equally important.
It validates Usopp completely. This entire arc has been about his lies versus the truth. He's been called a liar and a coward, but in this one moment, he proves that he has the potential to be everything he claimed. He wasn't just telling tall tales. When it counted, when his home and his friends were on the line, he became the brave warrior of the sea he always claimed to be.
He didn't need Luffy to come save the day in the forest. He just needed one of his Nakama to have his back, to clear the path for him to do what he does best. And Zoro did. That right there, that is what a crew is. That is what it means to be a Straw Hat. Super.
This takedown is so thematically important. It establishes that every member has a role. It's not just the Luffy show. Zoro isn't just a swordsman. He's a partner who can facilitate victory for others. And Usopp is not just the weak one. He's a specialist who can deliver the finishing blow when it matters most, from a distance no one else can cover. It's laying the groundwork for how this crew will overcome impossible odds for years to come.
It's the moment Usopp truly earns his place. Everything he has done up to this point, lying to Kaya to keep her spirits up, fighting Jango alone, refusing to give up even when he was beaten, has been leading to him making that one perfect shot. And he nailed it. Headshot. Game over.
The bell has tolled for Captain Kuro and his plan. For whom the bell tolls? It tolls for thee, Kuro.
And it was rung by a rubber headbutt and a lead pachinko ball. A perfect end to a perfect plan. That final panel with Kuro's glasses shattering as Luffy's forehead connects, chef's kiss. It's the physical manifestation of his entire world breaking.
The way those two finishers were woven together was just masterful. It's one of the first truly iconic moments of narrative parallelism in the series. Let us know in the comments which one hit harder for you, Usopp's clutch snipe or Luffy's final brutal headbutt.
Oh, that's a good question. It's tough. Luffy's headbutt is so satisfying. It's this brute force shutdown of a guy who thinks he's too smart for everyone. It's like watching a supercomputer get smashed with a sledgehammer. But for me, it has to be Usopp. Luffy taking down the big bad is what he does. That's his job as the captain. But seeing Usopp get his moment, with Zoro setting him up, seeing the liar become the hero who saves the girl, that's special.
I agree. It has more emotional weight. Luffy's victory is a release of tension. Usopp's victory is a moment of profound character realization. It's the culmination of his personal journey in this arc. Okay, let's look ahead. Predictions for Chapter 40. What do you think comes next now that both villains are down?
All right, I've got two. First, it's official invitation time. The fighting's over. Usopp proved himself 100 times over. He defended his village. He fought for his friends. He took the shot when it mattered. I think Luffy is going to turn to him, maybe after they've kicked out the rest of the Black Cat pirates, grin that big goofy grin, and officially ask him to join the crew. The words need to be said.
That feels inevitable. He's passed the test, not just of strength, but of heart, which is what Luffy truly values. He's a straw hat in spirit. They just need to make it official. What's your second?
My second is about the ship. They need a real pirate ship, not that little dinghy they stole from Alvida. They can't cross the Grand Line in that thing. I predict that Kaya, as a thank you for saving her and the whole village, is going to give them a ship. Specifically, I have a feeling it might be that caravel that her butler Mary seems so proud of. I think we saw him working on some designs. It just makes perfect sense. The Going Merry might be about to make its debut.
Ooh, I like that. It would be the perfect reward, and it solves their biggest logistical problem. It's a gift born from gratitude, which feels right for the crew's first proper vessel. It feels like the right time. They've assembled the core of the East Blue crew. Now they need the vessel to carry them.
Exactly. They get their sniper and their ship in the same arc. It's a huge level up for the crew. What about you? What do you see coming?
My first prediction is about the Black Cat Pirates. With Kuro and Jango down, their leadership is gone. They have no morale, no plan. The man they feared and followed is unconscious on the beach. I think they're going to completely scatter. They won't put up another fight. They'll just grab their wounded, maybe their captain, and run for the sea. The threat is truly over.
Yeah, they're just hired muscle. Kuro was the brain and Jango was the enforcer. Without the brain, the body collapses. They were only loyal out of fear, and with Kuro taken down, that fear's gone. Makes sense. What else?
My second prediction is a quiet character moment. We need a scene between just Usopp and Kaya. There's been so much unsaid between them, so much built on a foundation of well-intentioned lies. Now that he's a hero for real, not just in his stories, they need to have a real conversation about his future. I think Kaya is going to be the one who tells him he needs to go, that his dream is out on the sea, and she'll be safe here waiting for him to return after his great adventures. She won't hold him back. She'll encourage him.
Man, that would be powerful. The person he was trying to protect is the one who gives him the final push to leave and follow his dream. He stayed in the village for her, and she's the one who will set him free. That's good stuff. That's the kind of emotional payoff this story is so good at.
It would bring their story to a beautiful close, transforming it from a relationship based on comforting fictions to one based on a shared, truthful dream for the future.
I can't wait to see if we're right. This arc has been fantastic, and this chapter was the perfect climax. A real knockout punch. Or headbutt.
That's all the time we have for this chapter. The bell has rung, and the fight is over.
Join us next time as we continue our journey through the East Blue. Don't miss it. Later!